Mr. Klass, good to have you here. We've been looking forward to the interview. You've been called, as we mentioned earlier, the Sherlock Holmes of UFOs. You were a senior editor for Aviation Week and Space Technology. You've written 4 books on the subject. This is the latest, UFOs, Abductions, A Dangerous Game. You make a point of explaining UFO sightings. What's your general feeling, though, about UFOs?
Well, George, having spent so many years with Aviation Week magazine, which many of your viewers may be familiar with, particularly being so close to Nellis, there is no more exciting story that I could write or Aviation Week could publish than to say, at last, we've come across one UFO report that cannot be explained in prosaic terms. Maybe this is an alien spaceship. Biggest story of all time. Yet in more than 22 years as a hobby of investigating famous, mysterious UFO cases, reports, I have never found one that cannot be explained in prosaic earthly terms. And in fact, I'll be discussing examples of those at my upcoming lecture tomorrow night and Saturday, sponsored by the library here, showing that even experienced airline pilots, military pilots, can be grossly in error in what they think they've seen.
What about the general concept, though? Do you buy the idea that's a possibility, or you're just taking it as a scientist one at a time? They haven't proven it yet.
First off, I would hope that somewhere in the vast universe that there is other intelligent life, because we know that someday our sun will die, and with it all life on this earth will perish. But if one of your television cameras fails to work, and you took it to your maintenance department, and the man threw up his hands and said, "Oh, evil spirits," you'd fire him. You want him to look for an explanation within known theory, to get out his scopes, his instruments, and make measurements to see if there's a defective transistor or capacitor.
You say you've been doing this 22 years as an amateur. Many people
as a hobby.
As a hobby.
Right.
Many people believe that the government has hidden evidence of this stuff, of UFOs. Even the Air Force, in its Project Blue Book, as I understand it, had certain sightings that it could not explain.
Well, first off, let's talk about government secrecy. In the early 50s, when the Air Force suspected that this might be a Soviet ploy, maybe to saturate our air defense channels so they could launch a surprise bombing attack, yes, there was a degree of secrecy. In certain cases, there might be sightings on radar, and we didn't want the Russians to know we had a radar here or a radar there. But today, 99.9% of all UFO government documents are available in the National Archives. What about that tiny fraction? Well,
we have about 30 seconds.
Some of them are intercepts of Soviet encoded messages. We don't want to release those and let the Soviets know we've decoded their messages.
Very quickly, have you ever worked for the government in any capacity?
Never been paid a penny, except when my dear mother died and I got a Social Security benefit.
Okay, you'll have lectures Friday and Saturday at the Spring Valley Library. The number's in the phone book. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, George.